This is the MTPredictor weekly update for April 1st. Well, I'll try to keep it brief tonight. I spent the day with a little R&R at South Beach here in Miami. If you've never been, it's certainly an event. You'll see some interesting things. Well, let's take a look at some interesting things here. And this is the S&P and the weekly chart because we've been pretty much going up in a straight line here for a good number of weeks now, as you can see. Let's just see where we are here. I'm going to take a decision point resistance area off of the last swing high there, and you see we are in a major weekly resistance here. We still have some strength on the STF, okay, which is telling us, doesn't mean that we can't pull back here, but it's telling us there may be more upside ahead. Again, this is a little bigger picture with the weekly chart. If I just put the Elliott waves and just see, you can see the ABC pattern. We've closed above the typical wave C resistance there into this decision point resistance area. So basically a correction, we could see a correction at any time. It may be shallow because we're seeing some strength, more strength to the upside here, so we'll have to see how it plays out. But just I was reading an article, a lot of the hedge funds now lightening up on the longs, from everything from oil and gold and commodities to S&Ps. So when they're starting to lighten up, be careful for correction. If you're managing a stock portfolio or something, make sure you protect yourself to the downside there. Alright, so let's just take a look also at the Dow Mini here. Alright, pretty much the same scenario here. You can see the ABC pattern. I've got a little more room to the upside before that hits some resistance. You can see on the weekly the STF here is strong as well to the upside. So pretty much the same position there. And then pull the NQ in here. You can see the NQ is just wave 3 here, your wave 3 target. It's just below that wave 3 target, around 28.18 in the NQ here. Alright, so our high last week, 27.90.25. Again, see the STF showing strength to the upside. Again, doesn't mean that we can't pull back. In fact, if we get into this wave 3, we should see a pullback in a wave 4. Let's see where that will come in. Okay, there's our wave 4 support area. That's I'll be starting right around 25.40 area. Alright, so keep that in mind. I'm going to pull in the gold chart here. So again, those are in an area of resistance or soon to be in resistance. May have more upside ahead, but doesn't mean that since we are in S&P is in some major resistance on the weekly chart, that we couldn't see a correction at any point here. So just be aware of that. Gold, a lot of people ask about gold. This is the weekly chart of gold. I've got a 50 period moving average. That's the red one here, and the blue one is the 200 period. And you can see over the last 10 years, we'll go back when we've seen the gold dip below the 50 period but above the 200 period. It's been a good buying opportunity. Here's the last one on the weekly chart, gold here. Has not got to the target there of 1898.60, but we'll see how that plays out. But if we go back in time, well, here's a TS2 again. This was above the 50-day, but it was a nice trade there. Here's a little dip below the 50 period, again above the 200 period. Even in the crash of 2008, got a major buy signal here again with the major trend. Right at the 200 period here. Okay, and that hit that target very nicely there. All right, here's another, just below the 50 period but above the 200 period. Okay, we're going back to 2007 now. Okay, some more opportunities. Okay, another nice TS buy signal here below the 50-day, above the 200 period. Okay, that was at a minimum, 5 to 1. It would have lost money on this one, but on the pullback below the 50 period, above the 200 period, that would have been a nice buying opportunity there. Another one here. Okay, we're going all the way back to 2002 now, and right here, this is basically where the gold, after 2001, it's when the bull market in gold, began. All right, so historically over the last 10 years, anyway, these dips below the 50 period, above the 200 period, have been good buying opportunities. We'll see, this one right now. This little pullback to the 50 period here, put our Elliott waves on here, is right in wave B. And so we'll see if this holds as support. If it does, then we should get a C leg up, and we'll see how this particular trade finishes out as well. Alright, so that's we'll look to see what happens there in gold. In fact, I think silver is the same. Where's my silver here? On the weekly, again, silver is not going to respect the 50 and 200 like gold does. It's much more volatile, much smaller market. But you see the same basic setup on the weekly chart here in silver. This target would take you though to new all-time highs in silver. So we'll see. We'll see if these areas hold. A little bigger picture there. And let's just take a look at oil while we're at it here. Clear some of this off. Move this down a bit. So it just kind of pretty choppy here in oil on the weekly chart. Take a peek at the daily chart here. In some support, we got a TS3 buy signal there. Had a high volume spike right on the TS3, followed by the blue buyers candle telling us buyers are overcoming sellers here in the support area. Put our analysis on. Here's the setup in oil. We'd have to get to 104.16 to have an entry there with a target at 111.63. or 3.7 times your initial risk. The stop down at 102.12. This account risk is exceeded, so it's too big. This trade is too big for this account. But those are the levels. We can watch that play out. This is on the daily chart in oil, so we'll see how that goes. All right, that's all we'll take time for this week. You're going to have kind of a lighter news week as far as economic data. You've got ISM on Monday. The FOMC minutes are later on Tuesday, 2 o'clock Eastern. That sometimes can move the market. Nothing really on Wednesday. Jobless claims, of course, on Thursday. And the employment situation Friday. So we got a little bit out there every day, but I don't have any Fed announcement or anything like that to get in the way this week. So anyway, have a good week of trading. And I'm going to continue my relaxation here in Miami probably for another month before I head on to Orlando. So wish you all a good trading week, and we'll see you back and do it all again next week.